welcome back. So this is the third video in our tutorial. Last week you were able to throw together a comp real quickly just to see how layers work using nodes. Now this video we're going to continue the idea of learning how to use mats or creating mats, but we're going to be keying and we're going deeper into the whole node-based compositing of creating layers to create your comp. Today's comp will be more real-world experience than the slappy, messy job you saw me do yesterday. Yesterday's purpose was just to get you an idea of how layers work. Today we're going to go deeper into it and more real-world. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so here we are in our lovely Fusion program. As you can tell, it's starting out pretty basic, just like you saw last time, the default interface. So let's go ahead and start bringing in footage. So this time, instead of hitting the read node or hitting the R button, we're just going to do a drag and drop technique, which is taking the folder, dropping it in, and calling it a day. We're also going to do that with the background image as well. All right, so that's the other way of bringing in a comp. So let's take a look at what we're dealing with. So here's a green screen. All right, pretty bad green screen, fairly underlit, got some folds in the blankets or the background, got a lovely seam there, and the lighting isn't exactly the most even lighting that we got to deal with. And now this is definitely real world. Rarely do I ever get perfect green screens. I think one time in my almost 30 years in the industry have I ever gotten perfect keyable classroom style green screen. And believe it or not, that was on a low budget movie, not even a high production movie or a studio movie. That was on an independent movie. So, all right, so here we are. What else we got to deal with? Oh, look at this. Look at all that spill and reflection. Fun. Metal, hair. Ooh, how everybody hates dealing with hair. So, yeah. And of course, our lovely out of focus. Yeah, we love doing all that. Not. Okay, so where do we begin with this? Well, remember yesterday when we were looking at our frame sizes? Take a look at this. This is definitely not normal frame sizing. So that means we definitely have to change our settings for this project. Now, if I'm going to do a bunch of shots for this show, I would change it here and I would change it here. But since we're only doing this one shot, let's go ahead and change it just for this project alone. So let's go 2240 by 960. So that means any roto I do from this point on, any backgrounds or what we call solids in After Effects should come in at that size, and it does. So there you go. Alrighty. So where do we begin? All right. And here's our background we're going to put them in. That is a matte painting that a guy named that I did and another guy worked on, so it was a dual assist. All right, so now, as I mentioned before, I personally like to create my own background or canvas and start out that way. So if I need to do anything extra to it or change sizing or move this around or scale it up, especially if I scale it up like this, I'm not changing my frame of reference. So I'm always maintaining that 2240 960 size no matter what I do. So, all right, so that's the reason why I do the background technique. All right, so let's go ahead and put it on. And there we go. We're done. Not really. All right. So let's start keying this thing. All right. You start out with the clean plate node. All right. Let's see here. Oh, let's change our frame range because right now it's 1,000 frames by default, and we're only have 91 frames of footage. Let's go ahead and change that to 91. Oops. 91. There we go. So now when we play through it, let's actually play it. All right. So she ain't doing much. There's not much there. Next video will be tracking, and we'll have something a little bit more interesting, but for now let's just stay within our mat learning and creating keys. All right. So, all right, now we got to select our color, and this is kind of a experience thing, like an art form, knowing what color to pick. And in order to pick color, we're used to just clicking on it and then clicking over here. With Fusion, you've got to click and hold. See? Click and hold and click. So that's another thing Adobe people are going to have to get used to when dealing with the interface. So we have this. Wow, that is interesting. So the goal with the clean plate is to get rid of as much of this stuff here as you can, but keeping as much of this stuff here where you see the irregular green screen. All right, and that's pretty much the goal. And you do that by adjusting both the threshold, erode, and row edges. So let's go ahead and adjust this. I'm going to move it to the right, which we are trying to get a little bit more. It's going to start going speckly, which is something we don't want. So I'll try to suck in a bit more of that green. Let's go ahead and erode it a bit. Oh no, too much. Let's go ahead and bring this back. Erode it a bit more. All right, starting to get a little bit of holes, but we can fill those. Now this is going to be a problem. If you remember, this is the reflection on Homeboy's hat there. That's going to be a problem. We may have to do a separate key or just plain out roto that. But then again, that's real world. That's what happens sometimes. So we want to pick up some of that if we can. Look at all this stuff we're going to end up losing, but we're going to try to keep as much of that hair as possible. Again, the holes we're going to fill in just a minute, but that seems okay. We'll never know until we try finishing this key out. So let's go ahead and grow these edges. There we go. See? It's kind of like a reverse erode. So this kind of noise up here is going to be a problem. You want it clean. It's dirty right now, so we may have to increase the green. All right, so there we go. So now let's go ahead and grow it a little bit more and then just fill it. Now again, this is going to be a problem. We're definitely going to have to create a separate key for that. This noise down here might be a problem if we play it. Yeah, you can see it be noisy, but for an edge mat, this would probably would do just fine. We probably won't use this for a fill key, but for an edge mat and a soft key, this is fine. But this is definitely a problem because you see it blinking. So, but we'll deal with that in just a moment. So that's actually would be perfect right there. So we may come back and do a freeze frame on that. And then mix it in. Let's do that. Let's do that right now. All right, so let's go ahead and add a time retimer. And we are on frame 80. Okay. Oops, flow. So now, no matter what frame we go to, that's a static frame. Okay. We might even be able to use this as a pure clean plate without an animated clean plate. Let's see what we got here. There's a little nub there. We may have to get rid of. Let's see if we can find a frame to get rid of that. Now what I'm showing you is just one of many different techniques to dealing with green screen in Fusion. This is frame 44. Just go ahead and do another one. Time stretcher at frame 44. Alright, so we got rid of that piece. This is pretty clean as is, so this will be our base. Let's go ahead and do a dissolve. This, for you nuke people, this works like a key mix. For After Effects people, there's nothing that resembles this. This is actually kind of a cool thing about nodes. Okay, so now what we gotta do is just take that one little piece. So that's our base. That's our fix for that little area. We give ourselves a polygon. Let's go ahead and look at that area that we need. Double click a polygon. There we go. And then we put this into the mat. So now it looks like that. There we go. Looks good. Now, obviously for a moving shot, you can't do this gag. You have to do other techniques, but yeah. So, where are we at? So we got our clean plate. We got it coming off of here. Now the next tool we need is the delta keyer. Delta keyer. Oops, didn't mean for it to be connected. Try to get keyer. Alright, so let's go ahead and put that here. Put this here. So now we're getting to start to have a mess here. You know, it's going to easily become a mess real quick. So now's a good time to start practicing organizations. So the Alt key will give you these nice little elbows, okay? And this will allow you to kind of organize your comp a little bit better, keep things a little cleaner. Let's go ahead and delete this for now because we don't need it yet. All right. So there's our delta keyer. And bring this into our input. This is not a foreground, this is an input. And as you can see here, already it's starting to look pretty good. All right, the out of focus looks really nice. Even the hair looks really nice. Yes, we knew that was going to be a problem. Reflections, you can kind of see through his throat. But overall, for a first key pass, this is pretty good. So what we're going to do is make a decision here. Do we want to use this as an edge mat to our comp and do a fill key, or do we want to just use it as a mat and bring in our RGB as a separate entity, which is what a lot of people do because it allows you to adjust the green screen, despill it and all that good stuff separately without messing up the mat, which looks like that. All right, so let's do it that way instead. Bring in another mat node, attach it to here, give ourselves an elbow, and let's go ahead and take out this green screen spill because we got a lot of it on the dude's helmet there, washed over his face, her face, a slight green in here, green on the back side of these emblems, and of course there's green screen spill coming in through here through the transparency. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. So, okay, so we look in our mat controller, and over here you see the spill. So let's go ahead and look through it, which we are, and select that to blue. Nothing's happening. Well, it's because you actually have to turn the thing on. I don't know why it's not on by default, but it isn't for whatever reason. So here we go. It's looking pretty good. Fusion does actually a really good job at pulling out the green. So we're going to go ahead and leave it for now. Let's see here. What else can we do? There's a slight green tint here. and a slight green tint on that. So let's see if we can make this a little bit better, adjust it to the red. So these spill methods right here is what you want to look at. By default it's on rare, which gives a very light dusting of it on the objects. So the more you go down from medium, well done to burnt, the more it activates the green screen spill. So why don't you just go all the way down to burnt? Well, that's because it turns everything red. Behind the scenes, all it's doing is adding red to the green channel. So if we go back to rare, you can see how green it actually is. There's still tint. So let's just try medium. Oh, look what's happened. It's breaking the pixels there. That's not good. Well done. There we go. We fixed it up. Does it feel too red? Well, that's kind of your decision to make. But I think it looks pretty good because that white looks really nice. The gold looks nice. I'm not seeing any back reflections on here. There's nothing in the fringing of this hair. So I'm going to call it good at this particular point. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves another matte node, which is the letter A on the keyboard. And so we're going to go ahead and plug this in, square to triangle, and then pop it into here and combine our mattes. As you can see, it divided everything. So let's go ahead and pre-multiply it. And now we got ourselves a nice, clean, soft key. And we're going to go ahead and pipe that bad boy right into the comp. So there we go. So as you can see, we still have to deal with the transparencies, this head, and the reflective chrome. She's looking pretty good there, but she's looking a little bit noisy. So let's go ahead and build our fill mat. And the fill mat will actually go right in between here. So let's give ourselves a bit more room. Pull it down. Alright. And because we know this works, let's just go ahead and grab this as our for our next item. And we know this works, so let's just grab that first. Copy, paste. Give ourselves another node, and then pipe it in just like it is there. You should see a nice soft key mat. But now we're going to crunch it. Ooh, look at this dirtiness. Let's come back up here to our soft mat. F2 allows you to rename stuff. Soft mat. So let's clean that up a bit. So come over here to the third one over under matte controls. Threshold is good. Oh, we gotta make sure we're looking through it. See, we wasn't looking through it. Clean that up, just a little dab would do you. Thing is with Fusion, another thing is these sliders move your item a lot. So a little dab would do you. As you can see there, just 0.1 knock almost all that black out. And we're done. So let's come over here to our fill. And now we're making sure we're looking through it, which we are. See, because we got our dirtiness back, which is fine. We can be a little bit more aggressive with this because this is a fill mat. Eating into the hair a bit. Let's go ahead and fill that out. Clean up the foreground a bit. This might be a problem. We don't know until we play it. And again, look, our reflection, we know we're going to have to fix that. So let's deal with that a little bit later. Let's go ahead and erode this just a little so we're not. There we go. So we're still keeping the edge of our soft mat, bringing it in just a little. And add a little bit of softness to it. Clean up the background a little bit more. And we're good to go. This might be a problem here. It sucks into itself. We'll find out in a moment. We may have done the blur a bit too much. The erode. Alright, so so let's see what that looks like. And we're going to go ahead and drop that, say merge. Let's do a keyboard command this time, just so we can do all different kinds of techniques to put nodes in. And then our square out to our foreground in. We look at this mat, and there we go. So we have soft and fill, soft and fill. All right. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like now. Much better, much better. Also, by doing this particular technique versus just using it straight up as a matte and RGB, is sometimes when you pull a key, especially on a soft matte, you start to destroy pixels. Okay? Pixels tend to disappear on you. And so by doing it this way, you're keeping the entire pixel range without muddying it up with a matte. So far, so good. You can still see a little bit through that, a column. Let's go ahead and we'll deal with that in just a moment. This is looking pretty good. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and soften this matte. Let's go ahead and add a blur. All right, and this is kind of the cool thing about node-based compositing versus layer-based is you can blur certain areas or affect certain areas without creating a whole new pre-comp and cutting it out. So take that into the matte. Let's go ahead and double click that. And we're just blurring the matte. There we go. There we go, that looks nice. Got a little fringe there. Well, we can fix that too. Is there anywhere else that's fringe? Nope. And this little part doesn't look too bad. So, but we do have to take care of this edge here. But we only want to take care of it on the one side. So let's go ahead and let's try another matte control. And then we only want to affect this area. And we want to soften it so we don't see a huge edge. And by putting it into the matte channel here, we should only affect that one edge. So let's try it. Contract it, and there we go. There we go. So it only affected that one area. Alrighty. So there we go. Let's go ahead and fix his top of his crown here, where that reflection was. So, oops. So I'm having to do keyboard commands too quickly. So, alright. What are we going to do here? We are going to go ahead and kind of do a separate key for that. Let's do another key. And just concentrate on that area. Alright, we don't care about what happens over here or anywhere else. I'm going to put our color right there. Okay. Road and fill and hold. Oops, wrong button. Time stretcher. There we go. We are on frame 44. There we go. Now let's use our delta key here. That's the wrong one. And then we're going to crunch this a lot. load it. I'm going to add it to the mask. Oops. Yes, we're just going to add it to the mask. So we don't have to worry about anything else. Just want this little area up here. So now, there's our fill. There we go. Oh, we can probably grab some of that too. Let's grab all that. Okay, so we got a nice little fill here. So let's see what it looks like. And it looks nice and solid. Okay, so now we got ourselves a nice key. Good hair. Well, we can maybe deal with that a little bit. So let's deal with this a little bit. The hair. Alright, so let's give ourselves some more room. So we have a mat. Looks like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and invert that mat so we can adjust the lighting around her hair. So you grab an invert node, which inverts everything, color, mats, everything, which is what we want. I forgot to tell you that I actually have nuke preferences set into here, so by default it's called channel building. So I used to doing keyboard commands. I totally forget which one it is in here. This one? Yeah, there it is. Channel booleans. Set this to negative, and that inverts everything. We're going to branch this off. Come out, there we go. So here's our mat. Oops. Here's our mat. And we're going to invert that, which is exactly what we want to do, because we want to affect this gray area and darken it down. And maybe even choke it a bit. So just in case, let's go ahead and put another matte controller in there. Grab a color corrector and pipe that in here, and we'll see what happens here. So let's go ahead and go to our levels and darken it down. There we go. It's not bad, not bad at all. However, we're still getting no whites in here. So what we're going to do is choke it, because we anticipated that matte might not be enough. Lower it just a little. See if it's even affecting. Just a little bit more. Yeah, too much, too much. So now, we just want to affect that area. And we're going to go ahead and create another mask. And we're going to do my brightness technique for cutting things out. So, one mat there. One mat here. Let's go ahead and grab a brightness contrast. And invert that. Oops. That's all we wanted right there. Blur both those mats at the same time. We're adding a blur node. This is why I like using a blur and not doing my softness in here. And all that's doing is color correcting just that area. Could go down a little bit more, but we ain't got time to do that. I want to get this done as quick as possible just to show you guys a little bit more advanced comping than what you saw yesterday. So let's go ahead and add a color corrector. These guys are way too bright for this scene. Levels. There we go. They're a little red compared to the scene, so we're going to go ahead and adjust the colors. Take out a little bit of red. There we go. Just a little of that cyan color into the highlights. And then we're pretty much done at this point. And from this point on, we're going to go ahead and savor. Oops. Savor. Savor wherever you want it. Oops, I can't save it there. Folder. Okay, so one last thing I just realized we need to do before we actually render this thing, and that is defocus this background a bit. It's pretty crisp, and they aren't. They have a slight film blur to them, which makes sense because this is all digital, and well, they aren't. So let's go ahead and put a blur in here. Okay, and then again with Fusion, little dab would do you. You drop, because we're at 1 right now, and we barely go up to 2, and it's already pretty blurry, and that might actually be too much. No, let's go down to 1.5, or just go down to 2. 1.5. There we go. So I'll turn it off just to see it. Much better. Alright, so there we go. Add a little bit of blur to that. And grain. It's way too much. Let's check our channels. Ooh, red channel is way too much compared to our actors. See the shadows don't have nearly that much grain in it, hardly any at all. So we gotta knock that down. Excuse me. There we go. Red, green. There we go. And I think we're going to go ahead and call this done. So let's go ahead and hit the render button. And then we'll let it do its thing. Render complete. There we go. All right, let's go take a look at it. Now, Fusion doesn't come with a RAM player of any kind, which kind of sucks. Now, you could bring it back in like you would After Effects and just play it. I use DJV Viewer. It's open source, so that means it's free. And so I encourage you guys to maybe even try it, see how you like it. It comes on Mac and PC, so because it is open source. So let's go ahead and track this footage down. So here it is. Here's our rendered file, and then it loads up into RAM, and there we have it. we were actually going to finish this out, I would probably add dust particles in this light, kind of floating around, make it look, you know, like it's dusty. And now that's why you get light shafts, why you can see it is because there is dust in the air. That's the only reason why you can see light shafts. And you know, I would probably put a virtual move on it, maybe a slight push in, and then have the background do something different so it looks like it has a little bit of parallaxing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is your first comp. Well, there you have it, your first real comp. Well, real-ish. So what I've showed you was one of many different ways of comping and taking care of green screen. All right, there's plenty of different techniques out there of comping and doing green screens. I encourage you to watch all different kinds of people do it. You'll learn something different every single time. I showed you how to mix your mats. So if you have different kinds of mats, you'll combine them into one master mat. And I showed you how to do color correcting on your footage. So the only thing really left is tracking and painting, and maybe some 3D work that's a little bit more advanced. Well, I'll get around to that at the very, very last thing. But the next video will be tracking and painting. And yeah, so we're almost done here, and you should be able to get comping right away. All right, see you next time.